We have a lot of unstable assholes in the world, but typically they're not your most intelligent person. They get caught doing things to their family. They get caught stealing from, close relatives or things like that, but they always get caught. Emphasis on getting caught. And that's because your average unstable asshole is not capable of handling day-to-day tasks, right? But that all flips on its head when you have somebody who's actually capable and just happens to be unstable at the same time. Because we have a whole situation, man. It's been flooding the internet. There's a man on the run right now named Travis Decker, okay? And this is former military. He has a lot of training in survivalist tactics, long travel. The guy's a military vet. And I believe that he probably has a lot of his issues stemming from his time in the military. PTSD is a real thing. And you guys know how I think about how America treats their veterans, but that's not what we're talking about today. What we're talking about is how Travis Decker apparently took the life from 3 of his children when he had them for visitation, apparently. Now, there's a lot of layers to this story because the man apparently didn't even have a home. He was certified homeless, right? Moving from motel to motel, going from campsite to campsite. First and foremost, how is someone like that, whether or not he's a sweet person or not, how do you let a person like that get visitation with their kids if there's not a location that they're going to be at? It just doesn't make sense to me, right? So now they're dead, gone, and Travis Decker has disappeared, okay? Now, we're going to go over the news story that popped up right now, but it's also interesting on where these kids were taken out, okay? Because we're right on the border of Vancouver or somewhere in Canada, right? It's like Washington. There's Issaquah Creek where they were, or however you say it. And then the trail to Canada is not that hard for a person like that, especially. Let's go ahead and check this out.
Three young sisters are dead, and their father is on the run. Authorities in Washington say the 5, 8, and 9-year-old girls were reported missing last Friday after a scheduled custody visit with their dad. Detectives tracked Travis Decker's vehicle near a campground. That's where they found the girls' bodies. Their cause of death just revealed. Now, a manhunt is underway to find Decker. Police say he's possibly armed and dangerous. I'm your host, Kennedy Walker, and you're watching Law and Crime.
Your memory will never be forgotten, and we will not stop pursuing justice for you until those that were accountable for this are found.
Wenatchee police say the bodies of 9-year-old Peyton, 8-year-old Evelyn, and 5-year-old Olivia Decker were found near a remote campground in Wenatchee, Washington, about 2.5 hours away from Seattle. The sisters vanished on Friday, May 30th. Authorities say it appears they had been suffocated. Their mother called authorities when the girls weren't returned after a scheduled custody visit with their father, Travis Decker. Investigators released images of Decker's white 2017 GMC Sierra pickup and eventually tracked the truck to Rock Island Campground. If you look up the campground online, it says visitors are required to physically arrive at the campground to purchase and claim a site. Officers searched the area and found the girls' bodies, but Decker was gone.
Going on 20 years, I don't think I've had a situation that has really almost prompted tears to come up.
Decker's truck was located in a remote area 17 miles up the road from the campground by a Chelan County Forest Service deputy who was patrolling the area on a motorcycle. A manhunt is now underway.
And we will not rest until Travis is located. Travis, if you're listening, this is your opportunity to turn yourself in. Do the right thing. Do what you need to do and take accountability for your actions. We're not going to go away. We're not going to rest. And we're going to make sure we find you. You will be brought to justice. Those young ladies deserve it.
Police are asking those who see him or know about his whereabouts since Friday to call 911 immediately. Police described Decker as 5'8" and 190 pounds with black hair and brown eyes. A warrant has been issued for his arrest, charging the former military member with 3 counts of kidnapping and first-degree murder. The girl's mother, Whitney Decker, told KIRO News her ex-husband had struggled with mental health since leaving the military, but she never believed he was dangerous. Whitney reportedly told police her ex-husband picked up the girls around 5 p.m. last Friday.
Now, first and foremost, bro, what the fuck? Yeah, I mean, it's like there's a lot of red flags showing up here, and we can't really blame the mom because the same situation happened with Chris Greger. The mom had suspicions about, she didn't even have suspicions. Brianna Mitchell, she was fighting for her kid's life to stay with her, and DCFS just would not allow it. The kid gets to go see daddy, I guess, and I'm all for daddy seeing their kids, but if there's some type of psycho, I don't think they should be allowed to see the kids. Whoa, that's a controversial take, right? Now, the one thing that really doesn't make sense to me in this is why are these children going to the campsite in the first place? Now, I don't know if the original idea wasn't to go to the campsite and they were supposed to go somewhere else, but if the trip was to go to this damn secluded campsite, that would be my first red flag as the mom. And on top of all of that, it never made sense to me. We had the same thing happen with like Chris Watts. He kills all his kids, you have that guy in Florida who like shot his kids or some shit like that. No matter what you do, bro, you're still ruining your own life. I feel like he did this, and I don't know his motives. But I feel like he probably did this because he wanted to punish his wife. That's how it typically goes. It gets so serious for them that the kids have to pay for that shit. That makes no sense at all. Why are you taking a bunch of 6 and 7 and 9-year-olds to a fucking campsite? I don't know. It's weird to me. It just feels like 10-year-old to 12-year-old type activity. And they're all girls. I don't know. That shit, man, listen. Condolences for the mom, and the fact is this guy's still missing. So let's move forward. There's a lot happening in this situation. Okay, so now we got to go through what we know already. And there's been a lot of reports, I'm pretty sure, nonstop looking for this guy. And whenever it has something to do with kids, I feel like law enforcement just gets so much more invested in finding that person, And I really hope that this guy is not dead because there's a very high possibility that he just did it to himself. You know what I mean? Very high possibility. We've covered cases like that very often. So, we'll see. But this is the update, right? It says update 6/7/2025. The investigation and search continues. Hundreds of law enforcement personnel worked tirelessly conducting searches of dozens of structures and forests. Law enforcement members have conducted thorough searches of the forested area, the river, and many structures in the area that Decker was last known to be in. We continue these search efforts acting upon gathered information and tips from the public and leads developed through even more search warrants. We will be removing the roadblocks and opening the Issaquah River Road as we have determined there will be no credible threat in that area. However, we ask the public to remain vigilant as they venture back out into the recreation area of Clem County. I'm not sure how to say it. We have notified the USFS that they can reopen the recreation area as well. And I'm going to show you the map of everything that was closed off for the time being. If you see something, say something. We ask that the public continue to help us in this search. Please review your doorbell cameras and security cameras for signs of Mr. Decker. If you're out in the woods or recreation area and come across something you believe would be beneficial for law enforcement, note the time and location and mark the location on your electronics if possible. If you see Mr. Decker, please call 911 immediately and do not attempt to contact or approach him. Anyone with information is urged to call the CCSO tip line at 509-667-6845 or submit your information here, and then they drop the website. So, I don't think the police understand what they're dealing with, which is why I think the FBI got involved. Like, bro is special forces, right? This is what they fucking do. They train for shit like this. By yourself, limited food, limited supplies for hundreds of miles. I am very confident that he can handle that shit. You know what I mean? Like, the guy is a military veteran and not just somebody who sat around. Like, he's actually trained in this shit. So, in my opinion, y'all, I really do think And I'm not like, I really honestly think that it's a high possibility that this guy is gone. I don't know how his mental state is, if he would just off himself because he's depressed or something. But if he wants to get out of the United States, I think he's already gone. Like, let's keep it real. The man does this shit. By the time they found the little girls, he was probably halfway to Canada. He was probably just entering Canada or something. That's what I would assume. But anyways, this is the area that they had blocked off. And this is the whole Issaquah Creek area. And I'm going to show you another picture of this. So basically, the lined area is area closure. So they closed this entire area. But the funny thing about it, it's not even funny, but the interesting thing about it, he wasn't even in this area, bro. I feel like they just had to do it to say they did it. He wasn't in that area. We're not dealing with a regular civilian. And the man's not fat out of shit. The man is ready for war. The man's ready for action by the looks of him, right? Now let's get another angle. Now here we have another angle. Now this is Washington. Now if we zoom in, we're going to get to Issaquah Creek, or they call it the, what do they call it? So this is the Rock Island campground by the creek and all that stuff. Why in the hell would he take these kids here? Now, when we look at the map, let's zoom out just a little bit, right? When we scroll up, what do we see? We see that pretty ass line that separates America and Canada. And after that, folks, I think he's in the win. I'm sure Canada like extradites or will send prisoners back or whatever. But this sounds like this guy's gone for a long time. I'm not saying they're never going to catch him, but it really does seem like this guy is gone. He's in the wind. They're going to have to catch him after he makes a mistake. When he makes a mistake after hiding out for months and months. That's just my assumption. Let's hope that's not true. And now we get to today's update. Now, remember, these are kids, so they're going to have to update the public as often as possible. If they do not, there's going to be outrage. So I understand why the sheriff is doing this, even though it would be nice that they didn't, because it kind of feels like if he has any electronics, he can keep up with what they're doing. You know, that's always been my thing with notifying the public with an ongoing situation. But again, these are kids. The sheriff has to say something. So this is today, right? Update 6/9/2025. It says, investigation uncovers new details in new search areas. Crime scene evidence has begun to shed more information with hundreds of square miles searched by land, water, and air. Search operations have been handed over to the federal authorities. So, you know, FBI is definitely getting into this. And I mean, they should. You know, again, I think bro is gone. But so they need to start looking elsewhere than just the campsite. This is not your regular buffoon that just did some dumb shit and gets caught down at the liquor store later on. It's not that. Our investigators have begun to receive more analysis information back from evidence found at the crime scene. While this does not assist in the investigation and later prosecution, it also creates more questions and information for investigators to continue to pursue. While this does assist, we have collected a large amount of evidence. Many of the suspect's personal items from the truck recovered on the scene. The suspect's dog was recovered and turned over to Human Society for safe care. Blood samples taken from the scene have come back positive for belonging to a male, and another was not human blood. Further DNA and fingerprint analysis are still being conducted. So the guy even left his dog. He left his dog alive but killed his own offspring. That is crazy shit. I would expect him to just take the dog out too. I bet you the dog didn't even like him after he killed the kids. The dog was probably so confused, didn't even want to go with him. I'm pretty sure he was planning on taking the dog with him, but now after he killed his kids, the dog said, oh yeah, I'm not trying to be like that. I'll be a stray. I'd prefer to be a stray. That shit's crazy. He left the dog alive. Ain't that some shit? But killed his own anyways. Crazy dog. Anyways, if only dogs could speak, right? An autopsy was completed on Friday by a medical examiner. The cause of death was determined to be suffocation, and the manner of death was determined to be a homicide. As approximately 1800 hours last night, CCSO handed over command for search operations to federal authorities. We had reached the point where we need to rest our local resources. Our command staff continues to engage with the search command while we give our team time off to rest, recuperate, and be ready to rejoin the search for and capture of the suspect. CCSO remains in command of the criminal investigation. Should our investigation lead to more information regarding the suspect's location, search teams will be notified. And this happened. I don't like how that statement was made. You didn't need to say that. I guess it's good information, but CCSO remains in command of the criminal investigation. Internally, I feel like there's a lot of, officers and I feel like they argue over who gets to take lead and who gets to have the recognition. I don't know if that statement right there was them doing that, but it felt that way for a split second. I mean, I don't give a fuck as long as you find them. Find them alive, too, because he doesn't seem like the type of person. From everything I've been reading, he seems kind of like a hothead with mental problems, but he doesn't seem like the type of person to end himself. Let's move forward. Lastly, we understand the frustration many citizens have in not having all the details in this investigation. During any criminal investigation, including this one, there is law enforcement sensitive information that is not shared with the public in order to protect the integrity of the investigation. We appreciate the public's patience and understanding and cooperation during this complex and emotional investigation. Okay, so they're basically saying, chill the fuck out, we're not going to tell you everything, which is obvious, bro. We live in a day and age where everybody wants the information right now, yesterday, today, this very second, And when you don't get that, people start getting mad. But anyways, right before we go, I've been saying that this guy is probably in the wind. He probably disappeared. He's probably really good at what he does. Let's get an actual insight from someone who actually knew him. Former squad leader of Travis Decker. Let's go and let's see what he had to say.
Yeah, so Ali, you've been in contact with somebody who was in the same Army platoon as Travis Decker. So what are they telling you?
Well, they're sharing quite a bit. I can tell you that there's more clarity now as to who he is, his personality these last few years, and some of his recent behavior following this tragedy. Now, the individual who I've been speaking with does want to remain anonymous, but they did share these images of Decker back from 2017 after they were finishing a march in Europe. The two were in the same squad, in the same platoon, in the same company, while they were stationed together in the 503rd Airborne Brigade combat team with the 173rd Airborne in Italy.
Okay, Airborne combat team, marching, coming back. It seems like he's shot at some folks before. It seems like he's an active, or was an active military asset. I'm not sure exactly how active he got. We're definitely going to explore that deeper as we go forward. But clearly, he's not no paperwork pusher, is what I'm saying. He knows how to survive in a shitty situation.
They tell me Decker was kicked out of Ranger Regiment for failing Ranger School. Now, many of you have been questioning whether or not he was a Ranger. We've all seen some of the same photos of Decker in his uniform with a Ranger patch, but according to my source, he wasn't, because after getting kicked out, that's when Decker was transferred to their platoon, and that's where they shared a little bit more about who he was, just saying that he was a fit but quiet guy, sort of an outcast, yet a hard worker and a bit of a narcissist. They tell me by this time, Decker and Whitney already had their firstborn, Peyton. Decker eventually did warm up to his comrades, sharing that he aspired to be like his father and talked about getting back to Special Forces, but they say he never did. They say it was like Decker had some big shoes to fill. From what they know, his father was a Green Beret and he worshipped him. They did remain friends on social media, but they say that after these murder and kidnapping accusations, Decker actually deleted all of his videos and pictures and started unfollowing the majority of those who were in his company. Now, again, the loss of Peyton, Olivia, and Evelyn are hitting his teammates hard. They say that everyone who served with Decker is feeling betrayed and are distraught to learn of what has happened. That's the latest.
That's crazy, bro. His dad was a Green Beret? Something screams heavy mental issues. You want to make daddy proud. Daddy never thought you were good enough. So you go to the Army, you do your best, you fail Ranger School. Daddy doesn't like that. Daddy does not like that. Daddy is disappointed. It feels like a lot of psychological issues he was going through. never an excuse to kill your kids, guys. Never an excuse. I'm sorry. Take care of your own self before you take care of your kids. You know, in that type of you want to do something like that, go to a bridge and handle that. You feel me? Don't bring your fucking kids with you, you weirdo. You guys let me know what you think, man. I feel like there's a lot more to this story. A lot more information is going to come out in terms of like who this guy really is, you know. Definitely just skimming the surface for now, but we will be back to check up with this situation, man. I love you guys. Stay inside, stay safe. Keep an eye on your kids, man. I'll see you real soon. Peace.